like I said, you ended up on season 8 and season 9. And I have all the girls that come through talk about exposing something that happened behind the scenes that you wish would have made it to camera. Is there anything that happened that you really wish that the world could have seen?
I don't know if you remember, they did just only on season 8, the Shade Tree.
Oh, the Shade Tree.
Yeah. I know the only footage that they show, I think, was Chichi.
Yes.
I was on that Shade Tree too. But since I was so nice, I think that's why it doesn't make it to the episodes or to the season. Because I was not shading nobody. I'm like, I don't want to shade anybody, but I just want to say that I miss my family. But I'm here competing and showing this to the whole entire universe, you know. That was the only thing that I wish it was shown on the season of the TV show, you know.
Because they put that in there and then they took it out. It seemed like it was like one and done.
Yes. And even like, well, my other sisters were like, I'm not going to sit on no damn tree to do shade, whatever. I can tell you the shade in front. You know, we have Bob the Drag Queen, Torgy, Acid Betty, all over New York. They like face to face, like tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I think it doesn't work for our season because we were real. 101, all of us. So, but yeah, that was the only thing, the Shade Tree. Do you think like maybe if they bring that back, the girls... New generations might probably use them, the Shade Tree?
I don't think so. Because the way I look at it, I feel like everybody's becoming too nice now. And what I mean by that is that I think everybody is very on their toes about what they say, what they don't say, because the fandom, as you know, they can come at you for anything. So I feel like the past few seasons have been very tame. So I don't think that they would. But if they cast some girls that are not afraid to speak their mind, I think it'll be great.
Yes. You know what? Talking about the fandom, I don't like to generalize because I feel it's a sector or a group that doesn't represent the rest of the real fanatics that really, truly support all of us. You know, and it happens to you too as well, since you are one of the, you know, persons that, you know, interviews, you know, in a correct, in a nice way, respectful way. I feel that there's a group, just only a small group, you know, and I feel patronizing whatever any girl said publicly on social media and then criticizing them or crucify them is unnecessary, you know. I know we have now the cancel culture. I know there's a new movement even to correct the narrative of the language, what we're saying, you know, on our lexic, in our idiom, and not just only in the American community, in the Latino community too as well, you know, getting the masculinity out of words and pronouns. And a lot of us came from old school. So it's a little bit like a slow learning experience. But then that small group goes and attack the girls like, oh, you say this. You are phobia, all the phobias, you know? And I'm like, I always like, my message is like, hey, you know what? Just calm down. It's a learning experience. I don't like to justify for nobody, but I try to see the situation in a whole picture. And I'm like, this is a learning experience for a lot of people, you know? Even I was talking with family members and he's like, I work for customer service or I work at school. I have to learn pronouns. I have to learn, like, what do you like to be called? Like, how you feel comfortable with. But I came from the old school, so it's hard for me. And sometimes I make the mistake and I feel that I'm judged or, you know, point at it. And I'm like, that's my message to everybody, you know, just nice and relax. See the good, you know, in people and stuff like, you know, attacking and judging, you know, because at the end of the day, like, we are human beings. We're not perfect. And we're trying.
Yeah. And you said too, right there, you said that you came from a different age. And I think that that's very important because I never thought about this. I produced Jinx's podcast. And the other day, Jinx was talking.
Good. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. She was talking about how back in the 90s, like the late 90s, when people started accepting, you know, queer people more and started accepting LGBTQIA plus individuals, television shows and stuff would use, you know, the T slur or words because they were trying to be innovative. They were trying to show that, oh, you know, we're inclusive, we're this and that. But if you look back on it now, we're going to say, oh, that was inappropriate. So there are moments where people think they're in the right in that time frame.
Yes.
And then years down the road, 20 years down the road, it's totally different.
Yes.
So it is giving people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. It's not just automatically attacking them because you think that you have more information or that what you think or saying is better. It all just comes down to the person's probably a good person. They may have made a mistake that they didn't even know was a mistake. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion and a learning experience.
Instead of like attacking the individual, let's open up to the conversation so it's a learning experience for everybody at the same time. And back in the days in the 90s, we have the ACT UP, all the protests, because it was, advocating for HIV, individuals, and they were dying and they were not having the right, like, medications, biopharmaceuticals were not, being honest, not even with the government. And they were like charging this ridiculous amount for money for medications were not working with the immune system, stopping the virus on the system or CD4 cells on your immune system. So it was a lot that were happening. And on that period of time, it was a rebellious way to respond with some terminology that were slurred, but it was a revolutionary protest. Like, no, this is what we are, like, beep, or the F, or the T, you know what I'm saying? And you have to accept me because, again, it was a fight for rights.
Yes.
So I hope, again, it's not judging the book by its cover, but by its content.
That needs to be a quote. I love that
In
quote.
Spanish, no juzgues al libro por su portada, juzga el libro por su contenido.
I love that. That's a very good way of putting that. And you're talking about activism. You have been very active in the activism community. You're not afraid to speak your mind. I saw you multiple interviews for the bills that they were trying to pass in Tennessee and in Texas, the SB 12 and the SB 1449. What pushed you to speak out? Like, what do you think it was? Because some of your sisters spoke out and some really didn't speak out. But what was it for you that made you want to go on national TV and say things?
When I started doing drag, I think the biggest inspiration, my mom on the 70s was on the women's rights movement. And I saw that and I'm like, she's fighting for her rights and she's fighting for what she believes is not correct. And she wants those rights as a woman, as an individual part of the society. So I had that, inspiration and that example too. But when I started doing drag, through my drag family, Kaira Lee Naranjo, one of my drag moms, she's still a huge activist for the queer rights on the community. And I'm like, so no, just only I can use this beautiful character for performance or, performing art skills or talents. I can use this to raise my voice and to advocate for others that they don't have that platform, that voice. So that was fascinating for me. And that's how I started advocating. I was working in Puerto Rico in some organizations. I studied a bachelor degree in clinical psychology. So I use that, to interact and build trust of communication between me and transgender women. We're working on the streets, as a sexual workers too, providing, safe sex information, education, condoms, and more. And since then, I feel like for me, it's not just only a responsibility, it's an obligation because now that I have this huge platform, this is the opportunity for me to defend more our community. And those who are so afraid, especially in the political times, social political times that we're living in this country, that we never expect coming back and walking backwards again. So when I see injustice, I cannot keep quiet myself. And that's why.
I love it because and I keep seeing you pop up on my Instagram and Twitter and stuff, just speaking out. And I was very, very proud of you because I was learning information from what you were saying. And I think that that's a big thing. It comes down to listening to our community.
Yes.
And I want to give you the chance because you briefly touched earlier about your HIV status. And I believe that our community there's a pretty 50-50 chance that you either know the information or you don't know the information.
Yes. Still today,
And
2023.
yes.
I
And I
agree
think
with
that there's a lot of misinformation that is
Yes.
out there. So I would love for you to say anything that you want about what it actually means to, be HIV positive. Because I think that everybody just doesn't necessarily understand.
Listen, I'm going to put it like this, simple.
Yeah.
It's like cholesterol. You have to take a pill. It's like diabetes. You have to shoot, your insulin. It's the same. It's the same. As far like I take my medication every day, I'm fine. And I have the virus under control, undetectable, zero, completely on my immune system. And then my CD4 cells that are my defense cells on my immune system are high and are great, And that's the best way to explain it,
I like that.
I think it's easy, still the stigma and discrimination today towards individuals who are HIV positive. And still the misinformation and lack of education about like, but if you're undetectable, can you still transmit the virus? I'm like, if you're healthy, you're going to be fine. But if you don't take care of yourself, that's another story. That's simple as that, So I encourage everybody to, do the test and know their status and be happy and be healthy.
And I think that that's the most important thing. And also, like, I know that I have friends that, are positive, and the big issue that they always have is dating and finding somebody that can actually understand what they're going through, and that it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And I think that that's always the big thing that always gets me in the heart is that, like, these people are great people.
Yeah.
And they're being viewed as something totally different just because of a status that was made to become a big evil back 20, 30 years ago.
Yes.
And it's totally different. It's all the stigma, like you said.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I can tell you right now, I have a successful relationship with an amazing man, an amazing guy, and he's completely healthy, and myself too. We're taking care of each other, he physically is very active. He runs every morning. He wakes up every morning and, he cooks at home. I cook, but he almost all the time, he's a chef at home.
That's always the nice treatment.
Ooh. I mean, love comes through the doors of the kitchen. So. And see if you can see. This is not just only aesthetic procedures, transformation. This is nutritional transformation too. But, if I can be successful in a relationship and happy and accepted and loved, you can be too. Yeah. Don't feel afraid to speak up and be yourself. You don't have to pretend and put a fake picture with 75 filters from Facetune. Be yourself. And one day you will have the opportunity like me to be blessed to have an amazing, healthy, and happy relationship, So that's my biggest advice.